entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha Bean, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creator to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Hello. My name's James, Crazy James.
Welcome. I love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning charts our trajectory in life. You know, our little habits that we pick up along the way follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like growing up, and when did you discover a love for music?
It started very young. So I think when I was about when I was 6 weeks old, I was born in the United Kingdom, and then we moved to the Congo in Africa. And we spent some time in Africa, and after that, I think when I was about 3, 4 years old, my mum sent me a VHS of Michael Jackson. And as cliche as it sounds, that's what really started it for me, because I was blown away with what I'd have just visually seen, and the form, the art, the dancing. And from there I just started to practice how to dance and imitate him as much as I can. And as we move from country to country, you pick up different cultures. And I guess the start of my music, or me getting into music, was the king himself, Michael Jackson.
I mean, that's a great start to, person to start with, right? So
Yeah, no, exactly that.
it's only up from there, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, sometimes, yeah, you set that standard so high that you're always trying to run towards it. But yeah, no, it was beautiful. And the thing is, living in Africa as well, is I think I was 6 years old when I was put into this like talent, not kind of talent contest, but like a showcase event. And everyone supports each other, so you had everyone's cousins, family. There's about 2,000 people at this concert, and I was 6 years old, and then
Wow.
dancing for like 3.5 minutes to a Michael Jackson song. And I'll just, yeah, never forget that, to be honest with you.
That's pretty electric. Like, that's kind of wild to be that age and to be like, I'm sure that was like, whoa.
It was, and then I just remember the feeling, and the crowd erupting, and thinking, this is what I want to do. This is what I want, that feeling again. I guess I've just been chasing it since, although I've never matched that 2,000 crowd, but I still got time.
Absolutely. That time. Absolutely. Definitely let's get into this new single, which is super awesome. I watched it and I listened to it and I was like just like super bold, and it's a great, you know, homage to Bone Thugs and Harmony, with
Yeah,
which is super cool. I've they're just legends in their own right, right? So
definitely.
what tell me a little bit about the process of making this powerful song.
It's weird because like the process for me to make music is, it just kind of organically happens. So I can hear a beat or a riff, and I just have like a melody, and I'll just keep replaying that melody in my head. And even though it might be gibberish, I sometimes tend to record it, and then from there I'll keep playing it back, and then out of nowhere words come out. And I don't know, for some reason I just felt that that song in particular, or that beat in particular, just had that kind of Bone Thugs and Harmony. If they were, if they came back, or if they came out now, possibly this is the direction they would go at. So it just stemmed from there. So I had the idea for the chorus, but I had no idea what the verses would be like. And yeah, it just started to materialize while I was putting the words together, and then using a lot of metaphors. And there's contents about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I know he's controversial now, but like Kanye low throw, he was at his pinnacle then. So I do mention him in there as well, because his first two albums were astronomical, really, what they had, and the impact in the music game as well. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, a homage to Bone Thugs. And I've always loved their music, and I remember the first time I even heard them, where I was, in which country I was in. So yeah, it just all materialized and became this grand track, I think. So yeah, it was a great process.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean I mean even down to the visuals and stuff. Were you a part of that process of when it came to like the visuals and like what you wanted? Were you
Yeah,
super
definitely.
that?
I mean, one thing I've learned is obviously I'm a proper solo artist, so I've gone against the traditional hip hop artists having, a ton of people in the background or cars and stuff like that. So I kind of just want to keep it to me, and gives me that challenge to have to keep the people captivated and engaged. So I knew what kind of one I wanted with the video, and it was a bit of effort because I traveled to well, I don't know if you know the UK, but for you guys, it's probably nothing. It's like
Yes.
3.5 hours west and near Bristol, and we filmed some of it in the forest there, and then we drove to Cardiff to do the in the studio with the rig as the camera was spinning around. So yeah, I guess I wanted something different in some ways, but also just wanted to capture my expressiveness and because as I said, I started dancing at a really young age, and for a long time, I think it was a bit taboo to be a hip hop artist who could dance. So I never did it, and then now, out of nowhere, I'm expressing the lyrics, and it looks like I'm kind of body popping. I don't know what it's like, but all I know is when I watch it, I think, okay, that looks pretty cool. And yeah, I guess you feel the energy and you see how much I've put into it. So.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And I love the UK. I actually miss it. I miss it. It's been a while since I've gone, but I definitely want to get back to it. Want to get back to my traveling bag.
Whereabouts in the UK have you been then?
Oh gosh, I went to London. I went to Paris. It was just so fun. Belgium, I believe that
Oh
was
wow.
one. We did like a whole thing, and I was there for a while. And I honestly, when I didn't want to go back, I was like, this is
Oh
so
wow, yeah.
fun.
Yeah, Europe's pretty cool. I mean, the weather's not the greatest, but yeah, there's some nice places in Europe.
So do you go back often, or are you in Africa now, or
Oh no, yeah, I'm in the UK. I mean, if anything,
nice,
I perform in Europe a bit. I mean, I've just had a gig in Bulgaria, Sofia last month, and I've
nice.
got Berlin in Germany coming up as well. So yeah, still active, still quite busy, which is nice.
How is the crowd? How is that? How is the your rapper, your artist? I wonder. I'm sure the crowd is different everywhere you go. What does
Yeah.
that feel like? Do you feel like when it comes to hip hop?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think the reception I get in Europe is a lot better than the one in the UK.
Interesting.
Yeah, because UK English people can be quite standoffish, so unless you are actually accomplished and probably signed to a major, people are just always a bit reluctant to show you love. They got a really bad hater like affiliation, I guess. It's strange, but when you go to Europe and like there's no judgment, they just appreciate good music. So yeah, they're incredibly receptive, and they've always made me feel like a star in a lot of ways. They'll at the end of a show they'll all come up to me, give me hugs, want to take
Hmm.
photos and stuff like that. Well, in the UK, it's hit and miss. Don't
Really?
get me wrong, there's a good scene for it, but yeah, it's just you have to go to actual hip hop events, and there's not that many great ones in the UK as there used to be. I don't think personally.
That's
So
very interesting. I mean, I guess from here in the States, we hear a lot of Lady Leisure, Storms,
Stormzy, yeah.
Stormzy's, Gigs, Little Sins. Like I think I'm not really sure if you would call them like they've kind of transitioned also to kind of the States artists as well because I've
100%. I mean, and they're mainstream, so that's what I mean. It's even so their
I
starting journey. I don't think they spend that much time in the underground. I mean, Stormzy he did, but he came up because he knew how to utilize YouTube, and he had all his boys knowing his lyrics, and he was really out there what he was doing. But as far as I bet if you ask them as well, is where would you go to perform before, like before you
mm,
became an actual established artist? They'll probably tell you it varied. It's not as it's a strange one. It's a strange one. You end up going to a lot of like kind of open mics or showcase events, but there's just a few and far between. I know there's a place in Bristol which is like the hip hop coffee shop, and
yeah.
I mean that's brilliant. And then I think there's one in Brixton in London as well. But do you know what I mean? You could probably count them in your hands how many of those actual events they are. I mean they are gold. They are actually brilliant. I mean it's probably something similar to what you have in New York or in the States in general. A
Yeah.
pure show of up and coming artists, and everyone's everyone's giving love and everyone's there for the same reason. But um, yeah, it's difficult. I think because the music scene here has always been quite on the indie or pop vibe.
Mhm.
It's hard to get gigs at times, but you make it work.
Yeah,
I've been blessed enough to have performed all over the UK and I've performed in some great venues, so I can't be too unappreciative of it because yeah, it served me well and yeah, it taught me everything I have really. Give me that experience on the stage and give me that confidence too.
definitely. And I love that. I love that that you're still pushing because I mean you're very fast rapper. Something that always came naturally to you. Cause like I'm like, whoa, I gotta go back. I gotta
Uh, yes and no. I mean, it's a weird one because I used to be quite fast rapper, and then I found it quite hard to record what I was trying to to make it into a song, and then I try to slow it down a bit, and I found that it was quite difficult when I used to perform as well. But and it's just reverted back. I think that as you get wiser and you get more experiences and performance under your belt, you're then able to understand how to start rapping a little bit faster as well. And it's all
yeah.
about, knowing the breath work and knowing what's right for you. I mean, I know for a fact that if I go studio before I perform on the stage, I can't have too much food in my belly. I mean, I don't know if that's any other artist, but yeah, I need that room inside my stomach because it gives me more capacity for my lungs, and then that way I'm able to, rap as quick as I can, really.
I love that. Your sound is, I would say is like it was very like I was like, holy crap. It was so good and it's very it kind of reminded me a little bit like Twister, Twister back in
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
back. Yeah, I was like, man, he's good. What's one lyric in BTHD that hits the hardest for you and why?
Oh, good question. uh, I don't know. I guess if you're a fan of anime, then it'll probably be the Dragon Ball Z.
Hey,
The
I'm
line.
definitely a fan for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's it. But I also like the way the second verse starts. So I think what was it? We're setting new heights. I facilitate hypes, bringing new vibes, spitting our spikes, sights on citizen strikes. Yeah, I think I kind of like the wordplay a lot in the track.
Nice.
So yeah, it's hard to just pick one bit. To be honest with you, what about yourself? What did you think?
No, I love that exactly mine was the subtle, Dragon Ball Z reference because I was like,
Yeah,
oh man, that was like that was my show growing up,
yeah, same.
Goku and
Oh yes, I
Vegeta.
mean,
I was like nostalgic thought. I just thought back then. I was like, oh, those are good days, good days.
yeah, yeah, really good days, and what I love about the I know it's an animation, and if the Super Saiyans, they always want to become better, don't they? They always try to excel and get to
Yes.
ascend to the next level. So yeah, I had to reference them. And it's funny because a lot of UK rappers actually reference Dragon Ball Z as well. I think we
Oh,
all grew
really?
up on them. Yeah, yeah, you hear like people like AJ Tracy and Gigs as well. I've heard Gigs like mention Margin Boo and stuff like that. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah, I don't think we can help it.
Nice. How is that like, collaboration world? Is that a big thing? Because I know, a lot of artists, I know sometimes it can definitely help. And then sometimes in the collaboration you do with as far as like, another artist that you want to feature in your song or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, I don't know if it's the same thing in America, but it tends to be there's a lot of up and coming artists who, if
Yeah,
they're underground artists, they'll collaborate and it's not a problem.
that's
And
good.
then but you'll have, the established artists a bit more reluctant to probably collaborate with an unknown artist. And it tends to be quite a lot of money. I mean, there's a UK rapper called Wretch Free too. I mean, if you haven't heard him, he's pretty dope.
Nice.
And he used to like I think a few times a year. Just if someone reached out to him, he would actually go on their track, and it would help him. It really would. I think if anything, I think a lot of established artists should do that, just to
Yeah.
help people, whether you
Yeah.
want to actually be a part of it in a long run, but even just you having your name attached to someone's work, mostly if they've it warrants it and they're at a decent standard, why wouldn't you, because a lot of DJs themselves, if they discover an artist, they buzz off it and they use that for the rest of their lives, don't they? It's like, oh yeah, I discovered this band or I discovered this rapper, so yeah, it's one of those ones really. I mean, for me, I always wanted to collaborate with some people, and I have like jumped on other people's tracks. But
Nice.
as far as people jumping on my tracks, I've always thought I set myself that standard where I think I don't really need anyone on my tracks, and then I don't want
Nice.
that to come across wrong, but I could feel a track. I like, I like to. I keep people engaged in the way I switch my flows and create my tracks. So it's never monotonous. It's never the same. For me, it varies. It goes up and down. The speed changes, the beat changes. So that's why in my first two like videos, you've probably seen levels and BTHD. It's just
Yeah.
me. I just
Yeah.
want people to know it's just me.
I love that. And I feel like that's real, and and I feel like a lot of people don't really get to. I feel like a lot of people think when they get into the music industry and the business, it's just like a bunch of people. But when you're especially when you're doing everything yourself, when you're the indie world, you're doing a lot of work. You're doing
Yeah.
press, you're doing all the behind the scenes, you're putting everything together, you're putting money into it.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my question: how do you balance in a rising music career? How do you like what keeps you grounded?
It's tough to be honest with you. I have to say so before I had my first child, my son, I had a bit of time out of work, and I
Mhm.
knew that was the perfect time to record as many tracks as I can
Yeah.
within small time frame, because I knew once I had a kid it's gonna be challenging. Like
Mhm.
anyone that's got kids knows that too, and it's finding that time. But now it's equally as challenging because yeah, I've got a full-time job. You know, would I say I'm a part-time musician? Possibly. And I'm trying to be a full-time dad, but that's difficult too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've just got to squeeze it all in. So I'll try to practice my tracks for performances, cut a few hours every week before a big show, and then I'm due to go to the studio at some point soon as well. And then I'm gonna at the end of the BTHD video, there's a little teaser for higher learning in Berlin.
Nice.
So yeah, we're going to go film that in Berlin in August. So yeah, it's crazy. There's no time to sleep really.
I know, right? I it's like you have like your own like rock star hours. Um,
Yeah,
but you're putting out amazing work. So it's you're making some noise is what I'm saying. It's like it's getting out there. So keep it up. Put up.
no, thank you.
So what's one track from the upcoming LP you think will surprise people the most and why?
Um, and not to put a downer on it, I guess I got one track before I say which track it is. I'll have to say is um my whole thing, mostly when I released my first LP,
Mhm.
is I've always because I felt like for a long time I suffered of anxiety and mental health issues on my own.
Mhm.
Mostly being a man in this world, it's very old mentality where we feel like we can't speak openly and stuff. And I
Very
found a
true.
way of using music to channel that energy. And it's always been a thing for me to try to let people know they're not alone. And then, unfortunately, there were circumstances with my sister. She passed away sadly in 2022,
I'm
and
sorry.
then. That's all right. It's not. It's not your fault. But I wrote a song about suicide, and it's a dark topic, and I don't think many people have done it before. And
Mhm.
it's three verses. It's incredibly strong, and it goes through the whole stages of what that one person could possibly think and how they are feeling and how let down or secluded they might also feel. It's a very strong track, but it's incredibly written and put together. It's like it's probably about 5 6 minutes long as well, because at the end of it I was just pretty much freestyling but being melodic as well. So you probably see the inspirations of Bone Thugs and Harmony as well at the end, because I'm sort of like holding a note but
Mm,
singing with pure passion, with pure energy, and with tears in my eyes in a lot of ways. So I think that's one track that will definitely surprise people.
love that.
Yeah, it comes to another angle. You probably weren't expecting that, so I'm sorry to put it down on it, but
No, I think it's so important though.
yeah,
It's such an important topic, and being vulnerable and transparent. I think that I feel like a lot of as much as I love hearing them when artists kind of go about you know real life things that I think people can connect to,
yeah,
and
exactly.
people are going through that every day, especially men, mental health and not being able to talk about it. I was literally talking to someone about that topic, about
Yeah,
how it's something that you're supposed to especially when a hip hop artist, a
Yeah,
male
yeah,
hip hop
exactly.
artist, you're not supposed to talk about your feelings. You're supposed to suppress them. And it's like, no, where does it go if you suppress them?
Well, exactly, and that's why the suicide rate in men is the highest, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
ridiculous over the last few years. So yeah, I think that's why it's equally important, and I don't mind, whether people frown upon it or not. I think the realization is that I'm using music to channel that and to let people
beautiful,
know that it's okay to talk about it openly. It's not an issue at all. And if anything,
beautiful.
champion it, take it on, and yeah, let's look after each other. So
BBC introducing has spotlighted your work. Uh,
yes, a few
uh,
times, yeah.
yeah, right. That how was that recognition impacted your journey? And I'm sure that felt really good to just to feel like, okay, I'm putting work out and it's something, is I'm showing it. That's it's being seen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think because the first time they played one of my songs it's probably at the start of my career. Well, I say that it's probably it was when I was like, oh gosh, it was probably about 15 years ago.
Um,
And then I knew then I thought, okay, this is a solid track. But then you think every track after that will get played on BBC and it doesn't go your way, and then you come a bit bitter and stuff like that. But then it's just the way the cards are dealt, and perhaps when I reflect and look back, maybe the material wasn't as good as that track that was played. But then, obviously, recently, yeah, I think there's 3 tracks from the upcoming LP already been played by the BBC. I've had a DJ from the BBC, obviously, say high praises back in the day about me as well. So, yeah, it definitely it's a big name, isn't it? And it keeps you on. I say in some ways it keeps you anchored down and
yeah,
prowling through your work as well. So yeah, I think it helps. Definitely helps.
love that. I have a fun question, and I love asking every guest this question, and there is no wrong answer, I promise. The 3 levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Oh, our respect. Gosh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Oh, you threw me off there. Oh,
No pressure, no pressure at all.
yeah. I mean, for me, I'd always want more knowledge than anything.
Mm,
So what
mm.
would I use out of those 3 to gain that knowledge of people? Power just seems like I'm trying to overtake and run become a mafia. Going through the money route. Well, money can buy some knowledge, but then it can also lead to negative things. So possibly the most amicable one will be respect. Who doesn't want to be respected for the craft and the art that they produce? And yeah, I guess it depends how you look upon respect, isn't it? If you're
Yeah.
if you're still about a street life and you want respect, then you're probably doing the wrong things. But if you're like, for me, for example, trying to send a positive message through my music, then having that respect would be priceless to me.
Love that. Great answer. Great answer. If you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be and what kind of track would you make?
Oh gosh, another good one. See, I'm not used to getting these.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Gosh. It's a tough one because obviously I'd always gravitate towards going for my first inspiration, Michael Jackson, but I don't know if that would be a good track. So, I don't know how well we could collaborate in that sense. Although I'd love to see him recording because that's just an incredible thing. But um, dead or alive? Gosh, again, you threw me off. Um, I'd say. I don't know. Could you throw me off? I'd have to go. I'd like to record something with Eminem because I just think he would make me.
Yeah.
He'll just get the best out of me, because when you're that competitive nature, you just think, okay, he's just done this verse. It's time for me to better that and better myself. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, you kind of throw me off there. So I'll just go with Eminem for now. There's so many UK artists I probably would like to collaborate with, but yeah,
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 they're gonna be listening to this like, oh man, he didn't
I
say her
know.
name.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I've just gone for the safe option, haven't I?
Right. Hey, Eminem's great. Eminem's great. He's still at it at his age. It's insane, insane.
Ah,
I wonder how
literally.
artists keep it going for so long, you know?
Yeah, me too, me too. To have that hunger, yeah, he is incredible. I mean, he's gone up and down. There's no doubt about that. But he's one of the main reasons, one of the main reasons why I rap because I'll never forget 2003, is it White America when the album dropped? Was the Eminem show? Sorry, the Eminem show.
Yeah,
That just blew my mind. And obviously there was that massive movement. 50 just came out as well, and they had all the mixtapes dropping. So yeah, he's just an incredible rapper, and the way he's fast as well with all the syllables, and very thought provoking, and you can't knock him. He's definitely one of the greatest rappers. There's no doubt
definitely.
about that.
Definitely. I have a very kind of it's kind of like not I wouldn't say it's like deep, but I'm just curious of, now that you have kids, how do you want your kids to remember your music and the message when they're older?
That's a good question too.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I, I had this conversation, a similar conversation the other day actually, because someone asked me, again, it's just I don't know if it was a negative or positive thing, but they asked me why do you do it? Because sometimes they just feel that your music might not be as it might not be going in the trajectory that you would hope. But
Hmm.
my response is always, well, my music has taken me across Europe. Is how I
Hmm.
met my partner. So there's been so many positives. I get paid for gigs, so in
Yeah.
that sense, I've kind of doing okay as an independent artist. But I guess for my kids, I'd like them to always, I'm leaving a legacy. If one day I'm not in the surf anymore, I've left them something that they can go back to. They can maybe pick it up one day. They can use it to push, for mental health and anxiety and all those kind of things people suffer with. And yeah, I guess like it's amazing to see my son sometimes when he watches when I've got like we put the premiere on for the music video and he's like, "That's you, dad, dad, that's you, dad, dad," like, um, yeah, I think there's just something incredible about it, and I think it's nice knowing that unlike most people, I've got material and music that will never go away. I've got articles written about me, and
Yeah.
they could just Google my name and they can see, what, Daddy's done all right. He met mummy. He met mummy while he was out there performing, and he's got all these things online about him and these videos. So yeah, I guess it's like sort of leaving a legacy for them.
Yeah, legacy. I feel like that's super important, right? And I think that's a thing to, that you want to have as an artist, as a person, right? Like,
100%.
all the things that we, all the work that we put out to where whatever the knowledge that we leave behind that someone else
Yeah,
can say, oh, wow, this person did it. So I think I can do it too, kind of thing.
yeah, exactly that.
I love that. What is one misconception do you think people have about you or your music that you ever wanted to clear up, or was there anything that that you wanted to like address as an artist?
I mean, I guess for a long time, um, when I used to perform across the UK or when there was events, a lot of promoters were never sure how to approach having me on the stage or having me on the listing, because they always thought, is he hip hop? Is he rap? Is he grime? Is he trap? And sometimes because I make some of my music of rock or indie, is always like, what is he? And unfortunately, it takes for me to get on the stage and show my abilities to win people over. So I don't know. It's the misconception that people look at me and think, is this guy going to be any good? And one promoter said it best is that there's no, I can't put you in a category of or a genre. It goes because there is no category or genre for you. You are Crazy James. That is your
I
sound. You're unique to who you are,
love that.
and people should just focus on that and push that really. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but yeah, I guess that's some sort of misconception that I have in my music
That's
career.
great though. I mean, I don't think, I mean, I've as a filmmaker myself, and being in the industry, for a little bit, I've never wanted to be put in boxes. So I do think it's kind of cool to have your like to be like your own genre in a way, that you don't just fit someone's box, and I think that's
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
cool.
yeah, definitely, it's important.
That's very, very cool. Um, what advice would you give to that upcoming artist or an artist anywhere that wants to, someone that wants to just get into this music world? What advice would you give?
I would say first and foremost is believe in your ability and know what you're capable of. And I'd also say, you see people who, and I always alluded to it as well. But for a long time before I was a rapper, I wanted to be a singer. But I realized I wasn't a very good singer, so obviously I went towards rapping. So you, I guess is know what you're good at, focus on it, and just put in the time and effort. Really, it's not going to happen overnight. I've been doing this for like 20 years now, so
Nice.
but you need to get stuff under your belt. Don't take criticism in the wrong way neither. So you need the right people around you to give you that positive feedback and also their negative one too. Learn
Mhm,
how to structure a song, be dynamic. Remember, people's retention is short, so you got to keep
mhm,
it engaging. I'd say for a rapper, yeah, change your tones, change your flow. Don't keep it at the same structure.
mhm.
Record as many tracks as you can, because from then. I still to this day, I was doing this thing called One Take Tuesday during COVID, where I'll challenge myself every week, right? Brand new 16 bars and a new hook, have to do it
Nice.
all in one take and record it. And you know what? A lot of the songs from the upcoming album are actually one takes from that time. So it just
Amazing.
shows that nothing is ever wasted.
Yeah.
So just I think that would be my advice is just yeah, you gotta grind and yeah, get out there too. You've got to perform as much as you can, and you've got to treat it the same way. I don't care if there's one person or 100 people
Hmm.
in a venue. I'm gonna give it that same energy because you never know who's gonna watch, and the less people sometimes is better because they become your super fans, your true fans, and word of mouth spreads. And it's like I've just saw this dude performing. He was sick. He was doing his body popping. He was expressive. He gave it his all. He was literally out of breath at the end of it. And I'll always remember that time when I saw this guy. And then you pass it on. Next person's like, oh, who's this? And then you start to see the transition with it, and even of how your streams formulate and stuff like that. So I guess that's a big bulk of my advice I'd give to any artist out there.
Great advice. Great advice. Um, do you feel, last question, do you feel
Yeah.
like the music industry is changing for the better in like in favor of artists? I mean, you see so many artists nowadays that are like, especially, you know, indie artists, because you got people like Chance Rapper showing that you can do it,
Yeah.
and be how go as far as you want to go. But do you feel like the music world as a whole, like the studios are in favor of the artist? Do you feel like things are getting better for artistry?
I think it's one of those ones where it's a yes and no answer, isn't it? It's quite ambiguous in that sense because I think in some ways, as an artist who's been creating music for so long, and I
Mhm.
won't be the only artist saying that, is you will look at certain artists who have released a track, and you actually start thinking that's quite insulting. It's because you think it's a very and then you know what I'm talking about. There's songs out there where you think, oh my God, how did they even put that together and put
Yes.
it out? And it becomes a number one hit and they make all this money. And that's really insulting for people who are actually very talented. So in that
Right.
sense, I say no because those people still get pushed in the forefront for some reason.
Hmm.
But on the independent flex, it's like, yeah, it really has. When you look at the statistics from Spotify for last year, for example, it's the highest amount of art independent artists have been paid $10,000 or more. And I think I can't remember the number, but it was in the millions of
Hmm.
independent artists who have been paid $10,000 in a year, and just through streams on Spotify. So
Wow.
I think independent artists is definitely the right time for all independent artists.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's about trying to get that algorithm and getting a bit of luck on your side. And I guess it comes down to work too, your work rate and how much you put out there. But I ain't got the winning formula yet. There's only so much I think I can do. But yeah, I guess once you get on a decent playlist and you get yourself out there, there's always going to be, it always leads to other opportunities. Hence why you stop, I get approached from venues and stuff in Europe. But yeah, again, I hope that's kind of answered the question.
Definitely, definitely great. I mean, yeah, totally, and totally. Are you coming to the States anytime soon, maybe to perform?
Oh, I'd love to. If I was given the opportunity to perform in America, I'd be there in a heartbeat. So yeah, that's on top of my list really is to have a few gigs in the US at some point.
Nice. Your mouth to God's ears. It will happen for sure.
I
Um,
really hope so. Get me out there.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. Where can people find you on social media to follow everything you got going on?
Yes, thanks for asking that question because unfortunately I normally forget to tell people. So yeah, so it's Crazy James Music. It's the same for on YouTube, Instagram. Although I don't really use TikTok much, it's Crazy James Music on there as well. As for Spotify, just you search Crazy James, you'll see my face with some ski goggles, and yeah, that's pretty much me. Across all digital platforms. And yeah, massive shout out to all my new followers, subscribers. There's a movement going on at the moment, so I'm feeling incredibly blessed about that as well. And obviously, I've got to thank you as well for this great opportunity and this interview. It's been amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It was so fun to talk to you and what great conversation.
Yeah, it's been you've had some great questions too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love hearing that. That makes me happy. That makes me happy.
Yeah, if anything, they're too good because they threw me off. So yeah, but that's when they're good.
Right. You heard it here first. You heard it
Yeah.
first. Crazy James says, I have great questions. So we're sticking to that. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
See ya.